It's been a minute since you've done a play in New
I keep trying to get Chris Evans. Look, here's the thing. If you really want to
True
see
West with Chris Evans, what are you doing?
No, I want to do Speed the Plow with Chris Evans. But I would do True West with Chris Evans. And here's the thing. If anybody's watching this and you want to see Chris Evans and myself on stage, I want you to just bother him, text him, DM him, I don't know, whatever. Make posters and send to him. Because I'm trying to get him. I'm making it public right now, Chris.
I love it.
We're going. We can do this.
Prepare your ears, humans. Happy, Sad, Confused begins now.
I'm Josh Horowitz, and today on Happy, Sad, Confused, Sebastian Stan is back. He left the metal arm at home, but he did bring two great movies to talk about. The Apprentice, A Different Man. He's a veteran of the podcast. For good or for bad, you're a veteran, man.
It's been a while, though, I think, since I did.
For the podcast, at least.
Yeah.
So we've had our short bursts, but you've brought the goods to really dig in today. How you feeling, man? I
feel pretty good. It's great to see you. You know, I'm excited to.
Tell me, do all the accolades, the great reviews right now, do they fill the dark emptiness in the pit of your soul?
That always walks with me at every moment of the day.
It's pretty good right now, so I hope you're happy now. If you can't be happy with these two performances and films, then we have to worry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I've made a practice in the last couple of years waking up every morning and actually doing a whole gratitude list and everything. It definitely helps, and it's exciting to have both of these things out at the same time. It's not what I really thought was going to happen. I mean, somehow one of them was maybe never going to come out, and the other one, we did it before the strike, and so everything kind of got shifted around, and we were at Sundance, and then I didn't think we were going to go out in the fall.
Yeah.
So it's interesting timing, but I'm grateful.
I saw you briefly at Comic-Con on the other side of your life and career. What's been the professional highlight so far, you think, of this year? Whether a film festival experience, a moment on set, when you think back to the year that's been so far, I don't know, what's
it's going to be hard to beat this one. I mean, it will be hard because I started off the year with Apprentice. We finished February 1st. I got to go to Sundance. I went to Berlin for the first time, and the Silver Bear nod was really special. I never thought that was happening, and then I was in Atlanta doing a new rendition in a movie, and that was exciting. And then Cannes, I've never been to Cannes before, so that was
hitting a lot of, for someone that's been doing this a minute, you're like hitting some new. New
it was
things.
a lot of new things, new experiences.
Okay, let's start on The Apprentice. I mean, both of these films are remarkable in their own ways. The Apprentice is one of these movies. You play Donald Trump in this. Jeremy Strong, amazing as iconic Roy Cohn in his own right. I mean, 90% of actors, when this comes around, it's probably like an instinctual, like, nope, next.
Right.
Not even why even bother thinking about something as potentially toxic and polarizing? But this clearly touched a different kind of chord with you.
Yeah. I have to say, I was curious as to why I got a call.
Right.
Why me? And also it goes back to Carmen Cuba, who I've always admired and respected. And she sent me the script in 2019, and she said, look, there's this incredible filmmaker you should be aware of, Ali Abbasi, and you should look at his films and you should meet with him. And I got familiar with him, and I thought, wow, I was blown away by his work ethic and the amount of risk taking that he was taking in his life, and how he was approaching everything. And I thought, if anyone ever was going to approach a movie about Donald Trump, I think this man might actually be the best fit, because he's not from here. Right. He's Iranian, but he's in Europe, in Copenhagen. He's not playing for the blue team. He's not playing for the red team. Right. He's on the outside, and he might actually offer something here that we deep in the trenches can't see. And I think that might be worth exploring.
There's got to be multiple moments of second guessing the decision, though. I mean, this happens with any role.
Every time the movie fell apart was like,
oh, here's the maybe this is not.
Is this a sign? Is this a sign? Tell me now. Yeah.
Did you seriously consider like dropping out at any point? Did you seriously think like, okay, maybe this is just the degree of difficulty is too much?
I did 100% because it was not encouraging along the way. I mean, there were many people that were looking at me like, you don't look anything like him. Why? I mean, what is there to, I'm never going to buy it. Or people that were legitimate people I respected in the business who I was asking their opinions, and they were saying, I don't know, why do this?
Yeah,
why try to alienate people?
Yeah.
So, but for some reason, every time I was feeling a doubt and I was exploring the doubt, it was always motivated by fear. And I thought, I can't let fear make decisions for me. It goes against everything I'm trying to do in my life.
Right.
And I think against the reason of why this movie should be made anyway. And so I stuck in there.
It's interesting to say fear, because I was thinking it's like there are different motivators for all of us in doing our work, and especially for artists attempting to craft a performance. Like fear is a motivator. Confidence also can fuel you. And in this case, it feels like, I mean, you have to know you've got it in you. You have to have some confidence, but it seems like the fear of failure and making an ass of yourself is almost stronger in a way.
Yeah, I mean, last couple of years, it's interesting. I actually have started to feel better about starting at ground zero with a project or something. Yeah. Meaning not knowing how to approach it.
Right.
And that actually being a good sign rather than a bad sign. Right. Because if I was too comfortable, if I was too confident, then there's probably something there that I've already done, and I'm just trying to not repeat myself in a way. And also, if it's complicated feelings, it might spell out that there's something I don't know about this, that there's something I should go deeper in and explore. I've been thinking a lot also as it pertains to this film, but generally in life, about how we project things onto people. And sometimes when we have really strong reactions towards other people or situations, it's actually because, in a way, we don't want to admit it, but it might bring up something in us that we haven't quite dealt with, or something that we don't like in ourselves.
Of course. We're all narcissists. We all have elements of whether you love or hate this man inside of us.
Right, but I think, again, it's as it pertains, and it's a complicated answer. Like there's no direct answer to this, but I think there's still, I guess for me, my approach was, it's not just necessarily about the opportunity of learning about someone as you clear away the noise, but it's also an opportunity about learning through this person about ourselves.
Right. Knowing what we know of this man from your performance and all the stuff we read and seen over the years, there's a 0% chance he will not see this movie. He will see this movie. He has to. His curiosity about himself is just too rampant.
Yeah.
You must have thought about that too. Not only that he's going to see it, he's probably going to tweet about it. And he might say you're the worst person ever or the greatest. And there are implications to both of those things.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't, certainly it's crossed my mind, but that wasn't going to really affect, I guess, what I was trying to do. You go into this and you try to kind of put your little hat with your little light on and go into the darkness and try to find the light as best as you can. And I just, again, me thinking about that would be me approaching this from a result-oriented place.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, even as I was in makeup tests and we had prosthetics tests that didn't work and turned out terribly, there was always an element of failure with this.
Yeah.
Even when we were doing it, I was like, am I doing too much? Am I doing too little? When is it enough? Is it what will come across? There was always this sort of thing that kept dancing ahead of you, a shadow that you were kind of chasing in a way. But you can't get into anything with with expectations or
Projecting
results.
the awards, the film festivals, the reviews.
It doesn't work.
Therein lies madness. Yeah.
I was already, for me, I accepted going into this that I was going to be at a lose-lose situation no matter what I was going to do, because you know, you don't do this to be. I mean, I guess you don't expect applause from it, but you don't also expect people to understand it, because we're in such a tricky place right now. It's really difficult to get people to open up and see it from different angles. So I don't know.
But it's funny. It's like invariably, like when I think of your career and, you know, this kind of like demarcation between the Marvel stuff and everything else, it's like our longer conversations invariably have been about, you know, when you were promoting The Bronze or I, Tonya. And it's like, these are the juicy, weird swings that clearly like fuel your soul as much as, I mean, again, no shade to Bucky. You love Marvel too, but like, you have just played your hand in the perfect way, in terms of like using that collateral to do the risky, weird stuff, as far as I'm concerned.
I think I've been really lucky.
Yeah.
Because I feel not everybody has a chance to go back to something for 15 years like I had.
Yeah.
And be able to explore different avenues while doing that. I don't know if I would have had these things if I didn't have Marvel. I never. I'm not sure even if the desire for exploring different avenues would have come if I didn't have a character to go back to that allowed me to grow up with in a certain way. People say, well, why don't you ever? They've said to me, like, why don't you try more conventional leading man roles or something? And in my head, even though I never considered Bucky a conventional leading character, there was still something that I was getting to do there that kind of clicked that box for me in a way.
I was telling you before, I listened to your great conversation with Mark Maron, and that actually sparked a follow-up question from me. You were talking to Mark about often thinking about like a key emotional need that each of your characters has. So let's apply that first to Donald Trump. Did you have that very specifically in mind? Like, what was his emotional need that kind of was a North Star for you?
It seems to me, and again, I feel like I always have to do diligence because people love to take things and run off for them. Like I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychotherapist. I'm not a psychoanalyst here. Like, so I don't speak from that. I speak simply from an interpretive place, and a place that I felt lived in me exploring this person. And to me, that seems to be the most powerful man in the world where I'll never feel powerless again in my entire existence.
Right.
That can drive someone, you know, and that can overpower a lot of things. That can overpower a lot of other emotions I may have that I don't want to feel anymore, or that may drive certain decisions. I think when it comes to characters, real or not, I mean, I think we all have emotional needs that drive us. I feel, you know, I've come kind of growing up sort of in different countries and not always knowing my own identity or where I came from, or feeling like, you know, because of the relationship I had with my caretakers, needing to be heard, needing to prove. I mean, that's a lot of that drives me as well. I mean, from my past, you know, I think it's interesting to kind of understand where we're all coming from, only so that we can become better at catching ourselves, make decisions that maybe sometimes we shouldn't be making.
Well, and there's nothing, like, everything can be perverted to an extreme, right? Like, ambition on its own is great. Like, I mean,
it comes with a price.
It comes with a price, and if you take it to an extreme at the detriment of friends and family and morals, then
is it worth it? I guess that's the question, right? Is it worth it? How far do you go? And I think this thing about power is very important, what you're saying, because I've always believed in that concept. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Right. And I guess that's part of the question that the movie is asking is are any of us saved from that? Are any of us that come from, sort of with whatever upbringings of or moral virtues in a certain place of absolute power, would we, are people really capable of behaving differently or not? Or what does it do to a person? What happens when you sacrifice your humanity for that thing?
Right.
Look, being an adult definitely has its perks. You can eat ice cream for dinner anytime you want. No one's going to yell at you. You can even see a movie by yourself if you have the time. But also, it's not all fun and games. You have to do your taxes. You have to figure out what's for dinner every night. And it can't be ice cream, actually. Plus, you have to make doctor's appointments. And for that one, luckily, at least there is ZocDoc, our sponsor on Happy, Sad, Confused. ZocDoc is the healthcare app that makes adulting that much easier. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors. You can choose the right one for your needs and click to instantly book an appointment. We're talking about in-network appointments with more than 100,000 healthcare providers across every conceivable specialty: mental health, dental health, eye care, skin care, and much, much more. Plus, you can filter for doctors who actually take your insurance, are located nearby, and just are a good fit for any medical need that you might have. Plus, doctors that are highly rated by verified patients. Plus, ZocDoc appointments happen very fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even score same-day appointments. I've used ZocDoc, and I recommend you try it too. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/happysad to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/happysad. ZocDoc.com/happysad.
As power and acclaim and celebrity accumulated for you, not to say you went off the deep end and abused it, but you were a young man when Gossip Girl happened. I'm sure that must have been a fun time that could have easily turned into oh shit, am I turning into a douchebag? There's a fine line in kind of enjoying the spoils and then letting it...
I mean, it's funny about power because weirdly as an actor, sometimes you actually feel quite powerless. Believe it or not. I mean, I didn't get all those phone calls where Steven Spielberg and all these people wanted to work with me. There were many times in my life where I was just trying to get a job to pay my rent.
Right.
And then there is a degree of powerlessness that you feel when suddenly you do get success and everybody in the world has an opinion about you and writes whatever they want, regardless of the truth or regardless of who you are. It's it's all there, kind of, you're just public property.
Yes.
So there's that too. But I think in terms of Gossip Girl, it's a show that's still has a soft place in my heart. So.
I caught up recently with Chase about The Boys.
Did you? Oh, okay, great.
He's found such a perfect, amazing role for him. He's killing it.
He's very funny.
Have you watched The Boys?
I have, and also the recent. There's a couple clips with him recently that have been floating around the internet that when he's doing those intense stares that are just really funny. He's one of the funniest actors I've ever met, and I feel like people haven't even discovered that yet.
Yeah, there's a deadpan quality to that character that really works. Talk to me a little bit about, back to Apprentice for a second, then we'll shift to a different man. It's also a treat. I mentioned Jeremy Strong.
Right.
Oh my God, to see you guys together in this. I mean, we know what Jeremy Strong is capable of, and Roy Cohn is quite a character to play. What's it like to go, the tennis match back and forth with someone like this? There's so much notoriety about kind of how he approaches roles. He's the new Daniel Day-Lewis and kind of going method. Did you experience a little bit of that, or was he different than you expected?
We met before we started shooting at this place, and I knew within 5 minutes that we were gonna see eye to eye and come at this in the same way. The care and the commitment and the level of dedication was going to be there, and I immediately appreciated and admired that. And this was always going to be a partnership in my head. And then weirdly, our first meeting was not too unlike kind of our meeting in the movie, because we went to this place and he goes, "What do you want to drink?" And I said, "No, I don't drink because Donald Trump doesn't drink." And he was like, "Well, you drink with me, so because he drinks with Roy Cohn." So I was like, "I guess you're right." But like
If
we
I'm gonna play
kind
that
of
game, I guess I gotta go with you on that. Yeah.
But and then the next time I saw him was on set, and we were all basically in character and makeup, in wardrobe and everything. And because of the nature of this shoot, I didn't really see him until the end. But I've never felt more excited to go to work with somebody who I felt was going to come in there with everything they had, and that only elevated me. It only inspired me to try to show up.
I want to give some love to A Different Man as well, which is like such an odd duck in the best possible way that this movie exists in the universe is fantastic. This is a small movie, 22 days as I understand it. I'm going to let you set it up because this is a hard one to kind of like summarize. But like vibe-wise, it has like, and I mean this is high praise, it's like a little Charlie Kaufman, a little Lynch, a little
definitely
Coen Brothers even. It's funny, it's sad, it's dramatic. What the hell is this movie? What do we say? How did you describe this one to friends?
The best two things that I remember somebody saying was about it was, "Wow, I've never seen anything like this movie." And I think that really applies here because it is funny, and in some ways it is a comedy. In other ways, it's tragic, so it is a tragedy. At the same time, it is a political. It is not political, but it is a psychological thriller. Yeah. It really blends all these genres together and into this sort of like concoction that you were referencing, and at the heart of it, it's also about identity and how far we're willing to go to deny who we are and deny reality, not too unlike the other film we're discussing. But in this case, it's about choices and sometimes not realizing that maybe the thing you want you already have. Right. And so that whole thing is kind of camouflaged within the story of a guy who's an aspiring actor. He's got neurofibromatosis, and then he undergoes this surgery and sort of starts looking like everybody else and thinks he's going to have a normal life, but then quickly finds out that there's been a play written about his previous self. Right. And not only that, it's going to be it's going to go to acclaim, and there's going to be a movie made out of it. And he tries to kind of get back in there as a way to claim back his life, and it's too late. And
you're playing opposite. Is it Adam Pearson? Do I have that right?
Adam Pearson,
who delivers an amazing performance. Who's a man that suffers from this affliction in
F1, yeah.
Yeah, and it's talk about keeping you honest. I would imagine this is like as if you were doing The Apprentice with actually Roy Cohn in front of you, which is the same difference as Jeremy, I guess.
Right. Exactly. Adam was incredible to work with. And it's really interesting because he doesn't suffer from this condition. He actually totally has embraced it. Yeah. He is somebody that completely owns who he is, and he's coming in here and playing this really wild, gregarious, extroverted role that Aaron Schimberg, our director, has written for him. And it totally defies all the expectations and the stereotypes we've had of disabled or disfigured people playing these kind of roles where you sort of see them as sad and lonely and isolated, and it just flips that on its head. And I just think it's so unique and wonderful.
I thought it was really funny. I was listening back to one of our old conversations on the podcast about probably at least 10 years ago. And I asked you who the most interesting actor working today is. Slight spoiler alert for this movie. You mentioned Michael Shannon, who's one of my obsessions. Ended up in A Different Man.
And Michael Shannon ended up in A Different Man because he's such a big fan of Aaron's last film, Chained for Life. And that was the most bizarre experience because we never thought in a million years we were going to get him. And then he actually agreed to do it, and the timing worked out, and then he came in. And it was one of the the best days we had on the whole shoot.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so playing the greatest hits a little bit. We mentioned Gossip Girl, but I'm curious. Like when I'm looking back at the chronology, did you feel like you were like almost leading two different lives? Because around Gossip Girl, you're also doing talk radio on Broadway, as I remembered. You obviously couldn't probably do both exactly at the same time.
It was actually before. Talk radio was before.
Right before.
Talk radio was 2006, 2005, 2006, I believe.
And this is classic Eric Bogosian play.
Actually, sorry, 2006, 2007, yeah.
Okay.
And Gossip Girl came 2007.
Got it. So, I mean, again, that kind of like sums up you right then and there. It's like it's the same as talking about like Bucky versus a different man. We're talking like Eric Bogosian versus Gossip Girl. Like you contained multitudes from the start. Like did it feel like you were showing off what you could do? Did you feel like at that stage in your career like you were starting to, or you were just going along with the flow of whatever was available?
I've always come at this from a place of I gotta learn. I gotta keep learning. I gotta keep learning. I don't feel like I ever have it figured out. I don't want to. I'm almost like scared to. Jeremy and I always talked a lot about Al Pacino, the amazing Al Pacino, and this is the same thing I was going to say about Jeremy. I feel like one of the things that I love about him is he's almost two steps ahead of himself in a way, and he always knows that he's got to keep in love with this thing.
Yeah.
We have to keep in love with this thing, and we can't. The second you think you've got it, I think it's when it all starts to go
100%.
downhill.
Yeah.
And back then, it was really just about getting a job, and I mean, and also just staying in New York, which is what I wanted to do. I never wanted to move to California. I had a lot of friends that I went to school with and moved to LA, and and I was going out there for pilot season, but it was just working in New York.
There must have been a close call or two before Marvel that you thought this is going to be the one that changes everything. Like, did you were you going up for Captain Kirk, Prince Caspian?
No.
What were you like?
I went out. There were a couple things I didn't get. I mean, that I really desperately wanted. There was a movie with Russell Crowe that I wanted so badly, and like I didn't get. Can't remember the name of that. There was another movie, Mysteries of Pittsburgh, that I wanted to get, didn't get. Yeah. I remember losing a lot of stuff to like John Foster at the time,
really?
Ben Foster's brother. But yeah, I think Captain Kirk for J.J. Abrams' Star Trek, that was one of the first things I got very close to.
Is that true? I just threw that out of.
Oh, really? I thought you knew that.
I didn't know that, but like I could see it. I could see you being up for that.
No,
that would make sense.
I remember I was really, really close, and I remember I had a screen test with him at Paramount Studios, and I remember my manager had me do like a separate photo shoot where I would try and replicate all of these William Shatner pictures just to send to him to see how much I looked like him and stuff. Anyway, didn't get it. And then I think I told you there was Green Lantern was another one that I screen tested for. I remember getting there and it was like me, Justin Timberlake, Jared Leto, Ryan Reynolds, and maybe one other person. And I'm looking at these guys going,
which one of these does not belong?
I'm fucked. Like, there's no way this is happening for me. Like at all. But you'd come close.
Sure.
And it wouldn't happen. And in a way, like, I got to tell you, I mean, looking back, I'm almost glad it didn't, because I don't know if I could have handled that level of attention like some of those guys,
I feel like it's cruel that like in this day and age they can't separate you. You have to be in a physical space where you see Justin Timberlake across the room. Can't we figure this out?
I didn't see them, but I was told. I was very aware of like you get to know who the other people are. Like even for Captain America, it was like Chase was in there, John Krasinski.
Right.
Oh, God,
remember Mike Vogel almost got it back
yes,
then.
Mike Vogel was in there.
Yeah.
Like you would hear about kind of these other people, and it's kind of not great. You're
No,
like,
of course not.
because you're measuring up and you're going like, oh, I don't think I'm getting this. Yeah.
Do you have, looking at the many different performances and films and TV you've appeared in as Bucky, do you have a favorite performance, moment, if you get a scene, a film, arc for the character?
I'll always have a soft spot for that Winter Soldier, Captain America Winter Soldier. I mean, also just with the Russos coming in and the way that movie was shot, the way it was grounded, the way I'd never gotten to do action stuff like that ever. I never, and also it had a whole other. It asked for a way of moving, and it just the whole Winter Soldier aspect of that character was born for the first time, and I almost wish that we would have explored more of that
Before he
because
came to the
there's
good
that
side.
whole situation where he's having memory lapses, like some of his old memories coming back, and he's sort of short circuiting a little bit, and he wasn't as brainwashed to a machine that he appears in that movie. If you look in the comic books, there is a Winter Soldier alter ego who's never known that he was someone else, but was functioning, and every time they would zap him and zap him and zap him, they would get him and desensitize him more and more. It's actually quite fascinating.
So you want to go to the back, those intermittent years of when he's just like this assassin that's like kind of like
I thought it would have been interesting to go, what it would have been like for him to wake up after that fall and missing the one arm, doesn't know where he is, just like that whole process of him losing the emotions of and becoming this thing. It would have been interesting to see.
We'll talk more in a few months about Thunderbolts. I've talked to a lot of your co-stars in that one lately, Wyatt, Julia, Harbour. And I know, it's well known that, the first script of this was way different, it sounds like, from what you eventually shot. Is that fair to say? There was, a much different version that we'll never see of Thunderbolts? And are you happy where it ended up?
I didn't... there were a couple of reiterations from what I've heard. There was a script that we had before the strike, and then the one we ended up with. And I do feel like we ended up in a better spot, 100%. I loved working with Drake Schreier. I feel like what he brought to this movie is a whole other tone I think we haven't quite seen yet. It's funny, but it's also real, and it just has the right balance of everything. I loved working with him, and I think we only discovered that by them actually having more time to work on it.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't have happened if we had gone a year ago.
Who's going to steal this movie? Who should I look out for in this cast?
I mean, obviously, Florence Pugh is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, she's amazing. And Wyatt Russell is maybe the funniest person I've ever met. But Julia Louis-Dreyfus, I mean, it's like...
Yeah, she's...
I was trying to talk to her, I was basically every single moment we weren't shooting, I was walking up to her and being like, Elaine, I mean, and she would be like, okay, we're doing a different film now. And I was like, I know, but, and I was like, do you think so like Larry David, do you feel like he would like me? Be like, no, I don't. But she, honestly, I mean, enough said. And so many things I've seen her, and I was really more geeking out about her. And she is really great in this. I mean, she's funny and she's cruel.
And everything she stands for as an actor and a human being, adore that person. Caught up with Lizzie Olsen recently, asked her about the Downey announcement at Comic-Con. You were at Comic-Con, so you must have known it was coming. Did you know only when you landed in San Diego that it was happening, or did you get a heads up that Downey was coming back?
So what happens is you get there, and then you get kind of escorted to this little green room area, and that's where you see everyone. And it becomes like this weird high school reunion in a way, and you go, wow, Anthony, you've really aged. But you see all these people, and then there was a weird whisper going around, and somebody said, who's here? And I was like, I never would have. Even then, I was like, Judi Dench, but
She's Galactus. I knew it.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could have been anybody, you
Yeah,
know. But
yeah.
I had no idea until that mask came off, and I remember
What?
we were standing there, and I was like, "This is insane. I know this is crazy, and I know this is not happening,
Yeah.
but it is happening, and it's the only way it could ever happen."
Do you know? Have you asked Downey or Russo's? I mean, you must like have some intel.
I
on what the hell's
haven't.
happening.
No, not at all. Honestly, I mean, I didn't even cross paths with them.
Okay.
Again, Robert was non-existent. Like even in the green room or anywhere. I don't know how they got him in there. I mean, he must have been wearing the costume the entire time because no one had seen him. So, but
Would you ever do another superhero crossover to the other side, DC? Every actor plays Hamlet or Batman at some point. So
I don't know if Batman's for me. But like,
you've got the chin.
But-
You've got
but-
the.
I mean, never say never.
Okay.
I don't know. There's so many. Yeah, there's so many characters. I told you I always had a soft spot for that Riddler.
Right.
But that one's been done.
Yeah,
so.
Dano took it. Oh, well, give it 5 years; it'll come back around. So when you walked in, you told me you saw this. I was going to bring it up. I talked to Saoirse Ronan the other day, and I asked her, all the actors working today, who do you want to work with? Sebastian Stan.
I mean, yeah. I did see that randomly. Actually, even like I've gotten it from a couple people all at once, and then I immediately texted my agent because we have the same agent, and I said, "Did you see this?" Because she said it. No, it was so nice. It was a special moment because I think she's incredible, and I'm really excited about her new films. But you and I were talking about the level of stuff that she's been doing for years.
Yeah,
and
the
how,
transition from child to adult actor. I mean, she's the gold standard. Amazing.
No, she's incredible.
When are we going to get you back on the stage here? It's been a minute since you've done a play. In
I
New
keep
York.
trying. I keep trying to get Chris Evans. Look, here's the thing. If you really
What are you
want
doing, True
to
West
see,
with Chris Evans? What are you doing?
no, I want to do Speed the Plow with Chris Evans. But I would do True West with Chris Evans. And here's the thing: if anybody's watching this and you want to see Chris Evans and myself on stage, I want you to just bother him, text him, DM him. I don't know, whatever. Make posters and send to him because I'm trying to get him. I'm making it public right now, Chris.
I love it.
We're going. We can do this. But I feel like Speed the Plow could be interesting.
Fantastic.
I think he would love that one. So maybe he'll read it.
You've literally like texted him like you've.
I'm like,
actively
have you
told
read
him.
this yet? Yeah. I'm always like, by the way, there's another one that we could do.
Maybe make it a musical. Then he's in. Speed the Plow, the musical.
Guys and Dolls. I mean, we could do Guys and Dolls.
Guys,
I
they're
don't
doing the
know.
movie finally. Rob Marshall's doing it. This is one of my favorite musicals, Guys and Dolls. I don't know about you.
It was an amazing musical.
I could see
In
you
high
as a
school,
Sky Masterson.
Either or Nathan Detroit. They're all great. But I always wanted to be in it when I was in high school, and I didn't get cast. I got cast in Little Shop of Horrors.
Okay.
Bum one.
I was going to
But-
say you weren't Seymour. No.
No, I wanted the dentist. Who, by the way,
Evans.
I know, and by the way, they need to do Little Shop of Horrors, and he needs to be he would be an amazing dentist.
He's told me he has the video of it, like his rehearsal or his audition. I need to.
I don't
we need
understand
to see
why
this.
that hasn't been done yet. Like that would be a no-brainer to me. I mean, it's Scarlett Johansson, right?
It was, and
And
Taron.
Taron Egerton, dude.
Green
that's-
light, Kickstarter. What do we need to? Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been up for musicals, movie musicals?
I'm not really. I mean, I think my singing is, it's interesting. I mean, it has to be like the right thing. I was, when I grew up, like I was obsessed with Rent.
Yeah. It was a phenomenon.
Rent,
Yeah.
I loved. West Side Story, I loved when I was in high school, but I don't think I can sing that anymore. But like Rent, I feel like I could get, I even love Hair.
Sure.
Hair is an amazing one. That was a really terrible audition. I tried out for that when it was like in the park, didn't get it.
Do you still have to audition? Does Sebastian Stan send in tapes?
It's been a minute, but I can never say never. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, it does seem like looking at again, the choices you've made, is it fair to say you've been mostly director focused? Like you've really gravitated towards interesting, whether it's the Ridley Scotts of the world to the Aaron Schimbergs, like the younger, more indie ones. Like, is that the guiding path? Is that the best rule of thumb?
I feel like most of the people whose work I've admired have come from director driven films. I mean, they're all director driven. I mean, they're just different genres and they require different things. But yeah, I think early on, I was lucky to work with Jonathan Demme. I had small parts in two things. Yeah. I had a small part in that Aronofsky Black Swan film, and then the Ridley thing. And I was like, okay, you know what? It doesn't really matter how big the thing is, as long as it's with somebody where I feel like they're gonna really challenge me. So I've tried to stick to that.
So what's I guess Saoirse, her shortlist for actors. Who's your shortlist for directors right now? Who are you really impressed by and would do anything for right now?
I mean, oh my God.
It's a long list probably.
Well, it's tough because you've got like Alejandro Inarritu. I mean,
who apparently is going to work with Cruise. Like, see, like Tom Cruise.
That's going to be insane. I mean,
I could watch all Mission Impossible movies, but I do want to see Tom just like get in there with like a master dramatic director.
I mean, I think that's incredible. I think he's incredible. I think David Fincher is somebody that would be interesting. I mean, it would be amazing. Yeah. There's Christopher Nolan. Yeah. The Safdie brothers. Chloe Zhao. I mean, I email her every couple months. No response, but I'm like, I'm still here.
Checking in.
I heard she was going to do this Dracula thing. Right. I was like, I'm just letting you know, it's my country.
No response. You have the wrong email address.
She'll get me. I don't know. We'll see. But no, she has responded. But Chloe Zhao is unbelievable.
Yeah,
filmmaker.
Her doing Dracula is like, what is that even?
There's a lot. There's a few.
Yeah. And I ruined your Star Wars chances years ago, I guess, to the Luke Skywalker.
With that audition
it seemed like a smart idea at the time, right?
I'm glad it's out there in the universe. I think it's good. It will just be a mystery forever.
Yeah. Now we know what might have been, and
we could make a movie about the actor that everyone says should be in one movie.
You're still in a different man mode. You're meta.
and he can't escape that shadow.
Right. Had you ever been growing up? Did anybody ever say, "Oh, you have Mark Hamill vibes"? Did that catch you off guard when people started to fan cast you as?
I mean, because of Mark Hamill. Yeah, some people were like, "Oh, you look like Mark Hamill. You could play a young Mark Hamill." And then I think I told you I was at D23 one time, and we were in a bathroom together at the stall next to the stall, and I was like, "Mark, how are you?" And he was like, fine. Very lovely human being.
Yeah. If I've learned anything from you, I love that you're willing to send the emails, make the calls, send the texts, strike up the conversation at the urinal, anything for a job.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I remember always hearing this story of like, I think it was Ray Liotta stalking and hounding Martin Scorsese for the Goodfellas role. And it was like at one point Martin Scorsese was a can, had all these people with him, security and everything, and Liotta like got through all of them and grabbed him and scared him in a way, and was like, "See," and then he cast him. So, but maybe don't do that. But when people are like, "Oh, I'm a young actor, like what should I be doing, or how can I do feel like it's all about when the lightning strikes. Right. You want to be prepared for that lightning to strike, But I think there is something to be aggressive about it, in the sense of let people know that this is what you want to do, or I think it's okay to speak up and stand up. And now I don't know, because I think about it sometimes. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have right when I was growing up, and we were trying to get casting directors and stuff. But now you have these means of putting these movies out there, like these little shorts, or getting people to see things and. Look at your favorite movie and do that monologue and tape it, put it out there. I don't know. There's a way to kind of go after it, is my point.
We're going to end with the happy, sad, confused, profoundly random question, Sebastian. Here we go. You ready?
This is like our modern day actor studio.
Wait till you hear the questions. I don't know if you'll agree.
Okay.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs. I think dogs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you own a pet or no?
I've got 2.
You do?
right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
They're yeah.
We'll compare
they're the
dog
best.
photos later. What do you collect?
That's a great question. What do I collect? Weirdly, I feel like books.
Okay.
I've become quite a compulsive buyer because I'm like, I got to read that. I got to read, and so then they stack
do
up,
stack
and I
up.
got to
I
get
got it.
through. But yeah, weirdly books. Yeah.
What's the wallpaper on your phone?
Let's see.
Find out.
Let's see. It's a lion.
Oh my god.
Because I'm a Leo. No. Yeah.
No further discussion needed. Last actor you were mistaken for?
Oh my God. Fuck. I think this happened the other day. Oh, this is good. I can't remember. It's happened.
Okay.
It's definitely happened.
Okay. Anthony Mackie, you guys are interchangeable.
No, it's it's so good. I think at one point I did get Devon Sawa.
Oh, sure.
Did you say that?
Yeah, that's his name.
Did
That's
I
his
say
name.
it right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
At one point, yeah.
What's
maybe.
the worst note a director has ever given you?
Not funny. Not funny.
Harsh.
More funny. Not funny, more funny. I did get that once, and I remember going, oh God, it's all over.
I retire. Thanks everybody.
Yeah.
I'll be in my trailer crying. You got
Yeah.
over it. You got there.
Still made it, yeah.
You made it. In the spirit of Happy Second Fuse, an actor that always makes you happy. You see them on screen, you light it, you bright up, you're happy, you're feeling wonderful.
I mean, Robin Williams.
It comes up all the time. Yeah,
It's
of
like-
course. Yeah.
There's, I don't know. I mean, I find I could always watch any of his movies and just light up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A movie that makes you sad.
A movie that makes me sad. God. Weirdly,
Yeah.
like Home Alone, I think.
Well, when the John Williams score kicks in, and
It is
the
good.
holiday thing,
Yeah, but there was, and more in particular, Home Alone 2. And let me
drum
tell
scene?
you why. Yeah, exactly. It's that moment when he goes to the park and the
pigeon
bird,
lady, pigeon
yeah, the
lady.
pigeon lady, and it's like the little, piano kicks in and it's dark and it's like cold out and it's the holidays and we all get older and it's like, and it just keeps piling up and then I cry.
shot for shot remake. Sebastian Stan as the kid, as Kevin McAllister.
I mean, what a wild role.
And finally, a food that makes you confused.
Food that makes me confused.
You don't get it. Why do people eat this? I don't get it.
Quinoa.
Interesting, really.
It's-
A healthy man like you don't intake nice.
I don't know. Quinoa's, you know what? Quinoa is like semi-healthy. I don't
Wow.
know if it's like, it's gotten a lot of
Has good good
buzz. Yeah.
publicist.
It's got a good
Marketing department.
reputation. But quinoa is sort of this interesting thing because it is sort of still a carb.
Yes,
I mean,
it is.
it's not.
Yeah.
It's good for anti-inflammation.
Sure.
But it's an interesting one because it sneaks in there, and then you go. Sometimes it takes away from the other foods,
Right.
Because of the texture and
Yeah.
these little things.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You have any good food tips for those of us trying to get into Bucky Barnes shape for the fall?
Lately, I have to tell you, I've been getting more into fruit.
Okay.
I know it's sugar, and people say, I think if you pair it with a protein or something, I think it's good. But there's still value in fruit. I think
Yeah.
we dismiss fruit
Yeah.
too easily.
Like a little
Berries.
Okay.
I think berries and all the berries I'm a fan of because they improve your memory, antioxidants.
Antioxidants, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like a public service announcement in the end. We spent a lot of important information today, but back to the important subject at hand. We're going to mention one more time. A Different Man is fantastic. The Apprentice is fantastic. I said it before, dude. Like the way you have steered your career, using the best of your opportunities. You're doing it right. So I hope you enjoy the spoils of this season. Hopefully we'll see each other as it continues. And man, it's always good to catch up.
It's always good to see you, man, and it's exciting to talk with you about these. So thank you for having me.
Thanks,
Appreciate
buddy.
it.
We did it. We did it.
And so ends another edition of Happy, Sad, Confused. Remember to review, rate, and subscribe to this show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm a big podcast person. I'm Daisy Ridley, and I definitely wasn't pressured to do this by Josh.